and it's their intrinsic
Beliefs
nature.
now. This food basically robs.
Sound feasible, sound like and because they can't go to heaven or hell, they could possibly be out there. And this is told to us so that, everybody feels like it's a chance. It's a way I can be possessed by these demons. But when people say possessed by these demons or possessed by Satan, they don't really refer to these fallen angels, these Nephilim, I should say, excuse me. They don't talk about that. They don't say, oh, well, I'm possessed by a fallen angel. Or I'm possessed by a Nephilim. We always go back to demons and Satan, but the Bible is clear on where these supposed angels are supposed to be. They're supposed to be locked away. Satan's supposed to be walking around, but we can't honestly believe that Satan is, possessing people on the planet. For what? In order to have them shake and move around and act crazy, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for a demon to spend the time to possess a person just to get nowhere. These demons will want to get into a body and take control of that body and have it act normal, not to have it slobbing and foaming at the mouth and contorting and, walking all crazy and spooky. So, this is something that, we got to look at. And of course, you got those religious people who say, well, what about the people who get demons cast out in church? I was in church and the pastor cast this demon out and this and that. And, the whole thing is sometimes you just got to use common sense. It's like, okay, well, possession. What does that mean to be possessed? To be possessed, to take possession is mean to take control. You are now the new owner. You control whatever. You possess it. You possess that. So to possess something, to be possessed, means that demon possesses your body. You are no longer in control. That demon is. So if a demon possesses your body, why would it allow you to go to church? Why would a demon allow you to call somebody up and get help, or to go anywhere and get help if it possesses your body and is now in control of your body? But this is not what we see when we see, demonic possession. We see people acting and contorting all crazy. And, a lot of people always point to, the Exorcism of Emily Rose movie. I'm going to get into that. A lot of people always point to that movie or any of these exorcism movies and say, look at these people they possessed and this person is possessed. And I'm too much of a realist because, I grew up in the hood. I ain't never been in the barbershop and people was sitting around talking about, yo, man, my cousin was possessed by demons. You don't never hear nobody in the hood talking about, somebody got possessed up the street. Oh, yeah, you seen what happened every day? Yeah, Tracy and them got possessed. It just seemed like it always happens, to white people, or it happens on TV or in movies. You never see it in real world, a person being possessed. And when you do, you can explain what that really is about, as I'm about to right here. Now, another thing is people don't like to look for alternative reasons. If you see somebody that resembles a person on TV having, symptoms of being possessed by a demon, a lot of people just, simply believe that that's the case. They possessed by a demon. But it's a simple explanation for that. In most cases, almost all the cases, when you look at somebody who is claimed to be possessed by a demon, it's just simply epilepsy. And that's what it is. In fact, when you go to the Epilepsy Foundation's website, you can look on there and look at the community forum. And you have people who have epilepsy talking about, their parents or their friends calling priests or trying to call the Vatican to get an exorcism done, when it's just simply epilepsy. And this is the symptoms that you see, the causes. A lot of people contort and everything like that. They foam out their mouth and they growl. It's just a symptom of epilepsy. And a lot of people, don't understand that. A lot of people are deeply religious. And when they see this stuff, that's the first place they turn. Now, it's weird that we read the Bible when you run into the case of a person that is supposedly being possessed in the Bible in Mark chapter 9. Remember the little boy that's supposed to be possessed by the demon. Now, it's basically telling you This is another one of these little metaphors, another one of these hidden things in the Bible that the parables that is trying to tell you and hint to you what's really going on here. Now, and Mark is telling you simply that it's epilepsy. We know, and people with epilepsy, they have these violent seizures, and that's where they start contorting and everything like that, and foaming at the mouth, and it resembles a person that is being possessed. Now, if you go and read Mark 9:17 through 18, it says, one of the men in the crowd spoke up and said, "Teacher, I brought my son so you could heal him. He is possessed by an evil spirit that won't let him talk. And whenever this spirit seizes him, it throws him violently to the ground. Then he foams at the mouth and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast out the evil spirit, but they could not do it." Now, one is rare that they could not do it if they're supposed to be a demon and they're supposed to be walking around with Jesus, and obviously God know who they are, so they should have the power to cast this demon out, but they couldn't do it because it's not a demon. Obviously, the hint there, it's obviously saying it seizes him. It's a seizure he's having, and what he's describing is a patient with epilepsy. That's all it is. A person that has epilepsy who does the exact same thing. And this is just the Bible hinting, trying to tell you what it is. As I said, Bible is a parable. It's going to give you a lot of hidden stuff. There is no demonic possession. And as much as you people want to believe that, you have not seen it. You may have seen seizures and the person act out possession. If they believe that's what's wrong with them, that's something that has come up. The main thing I get, when I tell this to people 100 times is epilepsy, and the verse and everything like that, I tell you, hey, go to the epilepsy website. It tells you, people talk about when they was possessed. I mean, when their parents thought they was possessed, or their family thought they was possessed, and they called the Vatican and this and that. People with epilepsy who was treated, they will come out and tell you, no, I'm not possessed by no damn demon. It's just, how it is. So people don't want to let go of the fairy tale of the Bible. They want to believe in this magical world of, demons and ghouls and goblins and stuff like that. Anything to escape reality, and I can understand that, but it's simply not true. Now, the biggest thing people run to in this situation, in this case, is the whole movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And that whole thing is something that a lot of people who have done their research can tell you straight up exactly what's going on. Now, in the whole case of Annalise Michel, who is Emily Rose, that's what they based the story off. It's based off a true story about a woman in the 60s and 70s named Annalise Michel. Now, she was supposed to be possessed by demons. You all see in the movie, a lot of people refer to this stuff. The thing is, she was already diagnosed with having grand mal epilepsy, which grand mal epilepsy is basically when a patient has violent muscle spasms, causing them to contort, and do all the crazy stuff that she was doing in the movie. But the thing is, anybody who knows about the real story will tell you that the movie, grossly lied. I mean, it lied in so many different places that it's crazy. And they just tell you it's based off a true story, but most of the stuff in the actual movie was not true. Now, the thing is, in the movie, they show that only the priest was put on trial. And remember, the whole thing, he's in a jail cell. They keep talking about the priest. The parents are walking around free. So the whole thing is, she had epilepsy, severe case of it. They concluded that the priest had given her it provided her with the tools to basically take that stage of epilepsy further into what they was referring to as demonic possession. They convinced her that she was possessed by a demon. She knew something was wrong with her, but they convinced her that it was a demon. She had deeply religious parents who did not want to give her the medical attention. Instead of them giving her medical attention, they looked around frantically, calling so many different priests and everything like that to have an exorcism done. And they got turned down time after time. It was just so happened this preacher who came along and basically was trying to tell her, well, you need to be closer to God, and giving her the material to try to help her with the whole thing. But really, he was giving her the material to use to basically act out this whole exorcism crap. Listen, none of the supernatural bullshit that they show in the movie happened in real life. It didn't go down like that. Now, at the end of the movie, you had basically the priest got found guilty, but they let him off basically with time served. Now, in real life, not only did the priest get found guilty, but the parents got found guilty as well, and they got sentenced to 6 months in jail plus probation. So they concluded that she was starved to death, and it was the epilepsy, of course, that was the cause of everything. And instead of them giving her proper medical treatment, they starved her to death. She died of starvation. They could have just took her to the hospital. Hospital would have helped her out. But since they were so deeply religious and believed that she had demons in her, they made the problem worse instead of just getting her the medical treatment that she was supposed to have. Now, later you had bishops come and, assess the whole thing. And they concluded also that she was not possessed by no demons. Now, this is the true story. It was none of that bull crap in the movie. It was true. He did time. The parents did time. They got found guilty. You had real independent researchers come out and study the whole thing and say, well, no, she died of starvation. There was no kind of demonic possession. We can see clearly she had a severe case of epilepsy and psychosis that brought about everything. And instead of them giving her the help, they just simply amplified the whole thing. The simple fact they made a movie about it should tell you something right there. So it's not based off a true story. Well, it is based off a true story, but it's not shown as the true story in the movie. And this is what, they do. Of course, they don't give a damn how the story is portrayed as long as they make money off of it. And that's what we see in a lot of these shows. A lot of people say, well, it's on TV. It got to be true. And the whole thing is, if a person was possessed by a demon, and, how do you make that phone call to a producer to get on TV? I mean, why would you even want to be on TV, if you got possessed by a demon? The first place I'm going to and I'm going to be at every day is church. Because if I'm possessed by a demon and I know it, then I know that means the Bible is real and God exists. So now, of course, a producer wouldn't care what a person has to say. That whole thing is set up beforehand when a person comes on TV and discusses being possessed by a demon or, ghosts taking over their houses or what have you. I mean, how does that work? As I said, you can't call up a producer and say, hey, I heard you doing a story. I got a story to tell. I was possessed, by demons. I got ghosts in my house. How do you convince a producer that this stuff is true when you can't obviously prove it? So now this brings us back to the original questioning, and we have to look at, this movie right here, as I just talked about, Emily Rose. You got to look at countless other TV shows. We got a TV show called Lucifer. We got a TV show called Damien about the devil's son. And, all of the movies and everything that glorifies and promotes demons and Satan and everything that goes against the Bible, this stuff is allowed by the government. We have the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, that's basically put in place to decide what is appropriate or not, or what's fit or not to be on television and radio or what have you. And this is a government entity that the government controls, and they allow so much negativity, so much things that promote Satan and demons or what have you on TV. So obviously, as I said, the government is not following God and the Bible. So we can argue that he's following Satan then. I mean, it's the obvious choice to most people. And a lot of people are in consensus on this. A lot of religious people say, well, the government is evil. They're working for Satan. You're supposed to mess with the government this, the government that. And you have churches who talk about government all the time. Everybody always complaining about the government, but they obey the government. And the whole thing is, well, the government can't be working for Satan either. Because if it was, then obviously Satan does not want you to know about him. So it would be a big problem for Satan that the government will allow so many TV shows and so many movies to be made about him, because what does that do? It scares the hell out of people, and it gets people to what? Run back to their Bible, run back to their Jesus, drop to their knees and pray and stuff like that. So that's not good for him. So again, this all brings us back to my point that the government is in fact God Almighty and Satan as well as the government. And there's no way around that when you pay attention and look at everything. I wanted to get into it on this level so you can see what the Bible is saying about Satan and the demons. Answer a couple questions and ask a couple questions as it pertains to what the Bible is saying. And then look at the job of the government and what it's doing, what it's showing the people, and how it can in no way be considered, Christian or godly. But, it's satanic. And we know about the whole so-called Illuminati thing and all of the satanic symbolism everywhere and all that kind of stuff. We see it. We know about it. We know all this stuff. So it surrounds the government. So the government cannot be ordained by God and put here to do, God's work. It also can't be controlled by Satan, because Satan would not want it to do the things that it's doing, that's promoting him and, sending people, closer to so-called Jesus. So we have to face reality and facts and understand that, the devil was created to scare people. And a lot of you have seen the video where the priest comes out and he says basically that, the church created hell. They created Satan, to control people and stuff like that, because they believe we are children and we got to be controlled and stuff like that. So they have a priest come out and tell you that it's all made up. It's all bogus. It's bullshit. So, we have to grow up and look at what's going on. You have a group of people who is part of a secret society that their ancestors, the line they come from, gave us this book, gave us the Bible. And it was a plan set in place, hundreds of years ago to control the world. And everybody who follows these steps can see that they have successfully carried out their deception. And, the dollar bill tells us that their empire is crowned a success. So they had set up steps and planned out an agenda for hundreds of years. And it's hard for people to fathom that, people dedicating their entire life for one objective and knowing that they won't live to see it fulfilled, as far as they know. And this is what took place. So these people, everybody keeps talking about this stuff. I mean, it's the elephant in the room that don't nobody want to realize is standing there, because people are too terrified of, what happened once, people acknowledge it. And, what will it do? How will it respond? And people are scared. And we just, as I said, as long as you're not bothering me, as long as you ain't trying to kill me and, mess with my money and my success and stuff like that, people obviously don't care that this is all leading up to something that's obviously going to affect them and everybody who they know in one way, shape, or form. Now, my point in this first video was just to lay out some obvious points. There's a lot more to get into, obviously. This entire series, by the way, will be on YouTube. It's a lot more to get into because so many people are asking about Satan. A lot of people always ask this question. And, a lot of people don't have time to dig into all this stuff. And I have talked about Satan before. I've put out videos on it. And I really get into the subject because there's a lot that it entails. And, it's a lot of people should know. But for one, as I said, we are all capable of good and evil. That's something that's in all of us. And when you look at, what Satan is capable of, I've seen humans, do worse. Satan kills 10 people in the Bible, the 7 sons and 3 daughters of Job. God kills millions. So, the reason why God in the Bible cannot, will not kill Satan, because it's one and the same being. It's the same person. It's the same thing. And it's hard for people to accept and understand that, but it's a lot more we got to look into because, the more you start to consider the actions of our government and the steps that they have taken and everything that they are into, all the secret societies, all the secrecy, all of the symbolism, everything like that, the more you start to consider it and look into it and see how it goes into things that is considered to be satanic. And once you understand what satanic really is, what that stuff is really about, that is really, we're talking about power and energy here, and what they're doing with their energy and the things that they do, then, you will begin to see, what's going on. I'll put out the Voodoo DVD to give you a brief insight into what this power is and how to use it against us every single day. When you understand the power, as I said, it's all about energy, everything. It's all about energy and the application of it, and what people consider to be emotions is energy. And the biggest power, the most power you can have over a person is to be able to control their emotions, because then you effectively control them. People do things on this planet based off their emotion. You marry a woman, you take a job, you dedicate your life to things based on how it makes you feel. And if you feel some type of way about something, you pursue it or what have you. If you're mad about something, you act accordingly. Now, someone having the ability to control those emotions, to control that energy, and that being evil is something crazy. So this is what we're seeing on the planet. This is what we're seeing, especially here in America, that they have effectively gained control of the emotions of people. And people don't want to see through the obvious control, and people don't want to look at the source. Instead, we point the blame at each other and blame stupid stuff like color and race and everything like that for all the problems that one small group of people is controlling. So it's a lot more we got to dig into. It's a lot more that this stuff really goes into deeply, and I really want to get into it because, I get the questions. Now, I'm going to I got a lot of questions from you guys to the website, the questions for Merkabah at gmail.com. A lot of questions I'm going to get into. I'm going to answer those questions and put that video up after the holidays, after New Year's or what have you. It'll go up. And we got a lot to get into in this series. This is a really good series. I just wanted to start it off briefly with this information just to get out the way the little brief corny stuff that the Bible says about Satan, because what's going to happen is people are going to keep coming back and saying, well, the Bible says this. So now when we recap, everything so far, what the Bible's saying, it's basically not clear. The Bible says that the angels were cast into hell. Then it says that they were cast into the earth. Some people believe that into the earth means hell, that hell is inside the earth somehow. I don't know, how that works. But, the question is, how can these angels be locked away in everlasting chains and Satan be free to walk around, like a lion seeking to devour, people or what have you? And how can Satan be given control over this world, be called the God of this world? And we read that, God ordained the powers that be to basically be in authority on the planet. So we see that our government does not follow the Bible. They made gay marriage legal. They've done so many things that basically takes away from what the Bible teaches. We know the laws I talked about in Ezra, how you read in the book of Ezra, where we get our laws from. Our judicial court system, you can see, is clearly in Ezra. It's talking about statutes. It's talking about being arrested and fined and having property taken away from you. It's talking about being incarcerated and executed and things like that. Being in front of judges and magistrates. Everything that we see in our today modern court system, you find in Ezra, meaning that it came from the Bible. So again, how can this government pick and choose what to follow? They want us to follow these laws that's in the Bible, yet they themselves do not follow the laws that's in the Bible. So, again, I summed it up by saying everything that we try to separate into categories of Satan and God and the government should be put into one category, because our government embodies all three and is in fact all three. Now, for people who don't understand what I'm trying to say or what I'm saying, I'm not saying, of course, obviously, that the government is God, like, the creator. Obviously, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the metaphor for God in the Bible fits our government when you pay attention. And I broke that down in the video I have called The Government is in Fact God Almighty. Take a look at that video, check it out. But excuse me, when you pay attention to this stuff, it's hard to ignore it. It's very easy to see what's going on, but it's some deeper things that I think a lot of people miss and will miss if you don't understand certain stuff. So yeah, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into Lucifer and Satan and, a lot of these things that surround the Satan character, so people can be 100% clear that what Satan actually is, that he does not exist, and that the power of Satan, one, is in all of us, but is indeed being controlled by the powers that be. They understand the power. They are more powerful than us. They can act accordingly and use it against us. And things that we call voodoo and witchcraft and everything like that, as I talked about in the DVD on voodoo, plays a major part in what our government is doing. And I know a lot of people think that's crazy, and you can't fathom the government using witchcraft and voodoo and stuff like that, but they do. And I talked about it in the DVD, and we're going to get into it in this series. As I said, the whole series will be on YouTube. But that's part one. I want to wrap it up and just get that basic stuff out the way. Part two, I'm going to get into because I really want to get in deep into the situation. So, at the end of the series, everybody can understand there's no such thing as Satan. You will know exactly what it is, who it is. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, where this is going to go to in the series. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. I see you guys next video. Saturn, Satan, and Nature Reality Part 5 I just put out yesterday. So, check it out if you can get it. And as I said, the Mental Nature DVD will be out in a few days probably. And I got some more videos coming on YouTube. And a lot that I want to put up before this year. Actually, I had a lot more videos scheduled to come out this year, but I can't get it all in time, because of school or what have you. So, as I said, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. See you guys next video.